What is happening, guys? Martin is back again. You know where we are, so let's get into it. So, guys, thank you very much for the comments, likes, and subscriptions. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel if it does help you and assist you in your fragrance journey. Anyway, quick question I have for some of you guys out there right about now. With everything that's going on, obviously around the world, it's very difficult to really, obviously be out there, do what we like to do with fragrance reviews, do what we like to do to meet people, get ladies' opinions and everything else like that. But as things currently stand, just focusing obviously on making sure we maintain our social distancing and maintain obviously our own health. So by all means, guys, look after yourselves out there as much as you can. In respect of this particular question, just really a quick thought. So as things currently stand, obviously in my collection, this is probably one of the most predominant ones, well-known fragrances that I own. I mentioned it before, I've touched on it before in different videos, so by all means check back if you want to look at different reviews, everything else like that on the Martin Martinez. Anyway, so this is obviously Creed Aventus, and another one which my collection, which is probably also well known, is that of this is Layton from Parfums de Marly. And ultimately, guys, the question is now the time to be buying niche fragrances? Is now the time to be buying luxury fragrances? There's no right or wrong. Everyone's in different circumstances. Everyone's in a different boat, so to speak, in respect of your own, path and what you're onto and what's important to you. But just in the midst of COVID-19 and what's happening, I just want to just pretty much just touch on this one. I did a poll actually on my my community link on YouTube. And a lot of people are saying that now is obviously not the time for them to buy fragrances, but quite a few people still said yes. And this is why I've just decided to actually do a quick review of my thoughts on it. So this is, I can only base this on the UK, so I can't talk about everybody else and everything else that's going on around the world. But in the UK, for example, they're saying that COVID-19 is to wipe out the equivalent of 195 million jobs, says the UN. Now, that's obviously, I believe, I'm not sure if that's in a global position, but ultimately the UK is struggling. This is the Guardian, so it could even be just the UK alone. But who knows? Who knows? It's one of those situations that is affecting everybody. I think that's a global 195 million. I don't think it could just be the UK, and that'll collapse the whole country. I believe that's I think that's global. But ultimately, if you're in a position that obviously you can't afford to pay your rent, as what I keep saying all the time, and I did say it, and again, why I always point at this ironing board, because that's the situation that I'm in right now. If you can't afford to pay your rent and afford to pay your bills, is now the time to be buying niche fragrances or luxury fragrances. So just for example, the cost of this bottle, this is a 100ml bottle. I bought this in Selfridges back in the day, so this cost me like £180 at the time, which is a lot for me. The time you can see how much juice I have left, and this is going back a few years now. The current cost of a bottle which is 100ml, and obviously Creed decided to put the price up, and Creed is no longer owned by the Creed family anymore. It's actually changed a bit. Current cost in John Lewis is £265. So £265 for a bottle of Creed Aventus 100ml. In respect of this particular one, Parfums de Marly, let me just have a quick look. Now, this is 100ml, actually no, 120ml. Is one of my most favorite fragrances. I think it's just a beautiful fragrance. It's a well-made fragrance. There is a clear distinction in respect of quality, guys. I mean, I don't talk about this fragrance much, but it may not be well known to everybody, but these are premium quality fragrances, guys. I mean, honest to God, I don't smell this. I don't spray this as often. I think I only spray this when I'm going to do some form of like business meeting or something along those lines, just to give me that boost and associate good times with this fragrance. So this to me is like something to celebrate. But 125ml bottle, and this is costing £200. Now this is based in euros. I'm just going to quickly check in respect of the UK market. But yeah, 120ml. So even the 75ml is like 160. So ultimately, guys, this is obviously something that's quite expensive. This is not an essential item. So the question, as I say, are you still buying luxury fragrances at this time? Can you even afford to buy luxury fragrances now? For those obviously unfortunate that may have lost their jobs in the UK, and respect of universal credit, for those that can receive universal credit, the current amount that you can actually receive is only, I believe, around about £300 or so per month, £342 or so for the UK. Now, obviously, a bottle of this is costing you nearly £250, for example. obviously that's definitely not in your priorities. This is definitely not in there. So if you are in a position where maybe you've got a business, you've got a side business going on, maybe you're losing out some money because obviously what's happening, or equally maybe you're still working, maybe you're a person who's able to still function, is it now the time to be buying these fragrances? I can't see these fragrances going on sale, guys. I can't see any reason for the fragrances to be reduced in price. Creed don't do buy one get one free. It doesn't happen. Can you even wear fragrances now realistically for anyone else other than yourself? Probably for your own enjoyment more so than anybody else. I personally don't go around the house wearing Creed very often, unless I'm going to do something particularly, or I just want to smell it for the sake of smelling it. But £250 for a bottle in a time, obviously, of pretty much a recession that we're in now. We may not have declared it, but it's going to be a recession. Obviously, the job market is pretty much at a standstill. Construction's at a standstill. Housing market's at a standstill in the UK. I'm sure it's affecting all over the world. You know, in America, they're talking about a stimulus package and everything else like that. Whereas in the UK, it's more to do with 80% of your wage should come back. Within certain circumstances, you can get 80% of your wage. And again, you need to be with the employer for a certain period of time. And you need to basically been paying your tax as well since 20th of February. So ultimately, the world is in a bit of a shitstorm at the moment, guys. Don't know what's going to happen. Fragrance reviews, again, it's not a particularly essential thing. It's good to have a bit of hope and good to have a bit of something to keep your minds occupied. But at the same time, is it one of those things that is really essential? And are you really buying fragrances now? I've looked online as well, guys. Some of you guys mentioned Zara's fragrances online for a reduced price. Yes, you go and do that by all means. I'm not personally going to buy anything because I already have those fragrances anyway, but I don't particularly need them. Right about now, I've got so many fragrances. The one fragrance I'm waiting to receive, I've purchased on my birthday, and I will do a review of that when it arrives. Outside of that, I've not bought a fragrance probably now for well into probably quite a few months now, 2 to 3 months, which for me is quite a long time. But ultimately, that's what it comes down to, guys. Are your priorities? Can you even afford to buy luxury fragrances now? Does it make any difference? What's the point in buying a luxury fragrance and then subsequently you got no one to appreciate that fragrance? You're not able to get necessarily compliments. Whether you're looking for compliments or not, you just can't necessarily be around anyone to truly get the full value of what the fragrance means. For instance, wearing this fragrance in the club and wearing that fragrance in the club, I wouldn't necessarily, this is to me isn't really a clubbing fragrance, for example. So I can't fully experience what it would be like to wear in the club and know why it's not a clubbing fragrance. Equally, this one can be worn in many occasions. I'm thinking what circumstances would I not wear Creed Aventus in? There are some circumstances, maybe it might be a bit too much. Some people don't, for instance, going to the gym. I personally wouldn't wear this going to the gym. I would actually have used Vibrant Leather in that circumstance if I really want to wear something similar. Equally, I would not necessarily even use Mont Blanc necessarily either in Explorer in that context going to the gym, because I think it's just a little bit too heavy. But again, we need obviously the circumstances, we need the opportunity to be out there to fully experience and review these fragrances. And therefore I just want to check with you guys, what are you doing right about now? What fragrances are you wearing around the house if for instance you're staying in lockdown? What fragrances are you wearing if you are going out maybe to the store, if that's even a big deal now? I mean, it is what it is. I personally say there's some fragrances I still enjoy wearing those around the house for me personally, but equally there are other fragrances which I just don't see any reason to necessarily spray. I can smell it, I can enjoy it, but I'm not going to spend £250 now on a fragrance, which again, I'm just making sure I can cover my key bills right about now in this time of lockdown. So ultimately, guys, I want to thank you very much for the comments, likes, and subscriptions. Please keep it coming. Please keep it coming in respect of your comments. And equally, if you do like the channel, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. It's not necessarily a particular dig at anyone with these fragrances or these comments. It's just really just to say what I can see happening. I can still see some fragrance reviews that are talking about niche fragrances for summer, XYZ for summer, which is useful. It may be introducing you to a fragrance that you've never necessarily come across before, but equally is that also giving out a message to say, now's the time to go and buy this fragrance. So just be careful, guys. Not necessarily saying about any peer pressure or anything like that, but at the same time, be careful to be cautious with your money at this moment in time. It's not necessarily a bad thing to buy if you can afford to do it. That's your responsibility, and everyone's in a different set of circumstances. But equally, I would suggest maybe just hang back on buying fragrances now, especially in that price range. For me, in the UK, for instance, anything over £100, I just would not consider buying now at all. It's not an essential item. I'm not traveling anywhere. I was due to go and travel to Croatia. I was due to go and travel to Rotterdam. Unfortunately, unfortunately, those flights aren't going to happen now, and it's not possible. And therefore, you know, I need to focus my time and attention on what I have around me. Enjoy the fragrances that you have around you, guys. Try and find some use for them, and by all means, if you can, again, keep in mind what you want to wear. You know, when the time comes and it's all done and dusted, who knows, you may have saved some money and be ready to go and get those fragrances when the time comes. But hopefully, guys, see you soon in the next video. Just a quick question out there: what fragrances you're wearing while on lockdown, and is now the time to be buying luxury fragrances? Ciao.